I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. And I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. Fire in the veins, I fight to gain, breaking all the rules to keep me sane.
by.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the English shooting live stream. Thank you for joining, and sorry there was a bit of up and down with the start time. I thought I was going to have to start a bit later, then ended up finding out that I had plenty of time, so brought it back down as early as possible and close to the usual time, which is of course 7:30. But I hope you're all doing well. It's been a busy week. There's been lots going on within the shooting community, shooting news, ups and downs as well with the news, good and bad, which we will obviously cover. But for those wondering what that was, I just thought I'd do something a little bit different. That is a video that will be going out most likely tomorrow, and that was the coverage of the Basildon Level 3, the UKPSA IPSC Level 3 mini rifle match that I, along with many other competitors, attended a few weeks ago. Incredible match. I haven't actually done a mini rifle match to that level so far, so to be thrown in at level 3, sort of first level 3 mini rifle match, lots to learn, but it was a fantastically run match. Everything went smoothly, some nice challenging swingers and stages there, and a big congratulations to Jim Starley, who ended up winning the event, or the competition overall, followed closely by, of course, Team Magload Ben Ducker. But yeah, of course, this is the weekly English shooting live stream. This is a chance to get involved, have questions, answers, bring up topics, have a discussion about anything you want to. You can use the chat section for that. The main topic for this evening is, of course, kids with guns. There's a little bit more to that. It's down to a number of articles that have been released quite relentlessly up and down the country. But I did see there was a few questions before we started, so I'll get into those quickly, and then we will go into the main topic and then work our way through. Don't forget to like and please subscribe if you're watching this, enjoying what you're seeing, because we do it every single week. It does get moved around sometimes, but we try to keep it consistent, and of course we're putting out content on the channel as regularly as possible. So somebody was asking, on the topic of UKPSA, somebody was actually asking about an FEO, and I've seen this a number of times. So FEO says, I must join UKPSA before he can grant high capacity shotgun, and it will not be on open conditions like your 308 2217 HMR. How strange. So firstly, I would say to your FEO, it's not a high capacity shotgun, it's an unrestricted capacity shotgun. Ask him to define exactly what high capacity means, and you'll probably be waiting there for a long time. There is no, certainly in UK law, there is no definition of high capacity. It is just unrestricted capacity. And usually on a circuit, you're looking at a total capacity of 10 or 12 rounds. Is that high capacity? Not in my book, certainly. But in terms of being a member of the UK PSA, I have seen a number of people do this. Funnily enough, or a number of counties and firearms licensing departments do this. Funnily enough, the like Hampshire, my local firearms licensing department, they, well, certainly for me, they didn't do it, and for a number of other people, they didn't do it. They are known as one of the most stringent, sort of strict, and maybe I've heard people say that they are the most overbearing county in the country when it comes to firearms licensing. But for me, it was pretty straightforward. I wasn't a member of the UK PSA at the time, but I was a member of Kentucky Firearms Club and also the Phoenix Shooting Club, which were both very heavily practical orientated. So I think that was enough for them, and not forgetting that the NRA has their own league. So, I mean, I guess in a way it's great that they are recognising the UK PSA over the NRA for practical. I think that's how it should be. The UK PSA is the national governing body for practical shooting in the UK, so they should be the ones to go to. But if you're simply an NRA member, that should be justification enough. With them doing a number of practical disciplines, and not even practical, they do target shotgun, which requires unrestricted capacity section 1 shotguns. So if you're never going to shoot a UK PSA match, why would you become a member? And to me, this just shows it's either, in my mind, it's either ignorance and complete a lack of understanding of the practical disciplines, or they are just trying to put needless barriers up. Joining the UK PSA is only 40 or 50 quid. I would say to avoid an argument, to avoid, annoying your FEO, no matter how wrong they may be or how right you are. Sometimes you just need an easy life. And for the sake of 40, 50 quid, get the membership and move on. But if you want to challenge them on it, there are a number of clubs that aren't UK PSA affiliated, aren't even NRA affiliated, but there are more clubs NRA affiliated than UK PSA, and do the NRA Shotgun League and also do NRA Target Shotgun. So you can bring that up with him and say, well, hang on a minute, why are you saying the UK PSA when actually the NRA should be more than enough reason? FEOs and the police are very funny about Section 1 shotguns. They're a little bit taboo in a way, because they are, in essence, certainly if you're shooting slug, a full bore semi-automatic, and they're sort of like, well, I thought we banned those. So they're not particularly hot on them, and they can get very twitchy about them. But I think you just need to stay polite and firm with them and say, look, you're not understanding how the sport is based, and also why is a Section 1 shotgun any different to your 308 rifle in terms of the potential danger that they could pose. It's the nut behind the butt. It's not the gun at the end of the day. If you're going to go and do something heinous, or you're going to pose a danger, you're still going to pose that danger with a 308 single shot bolt action rifle or a Section 1 shotgun. So that is something you can challenge on, but to be honest, just get the membership and move on. In terms of them not putting open conditions on there, it's because usually in terms of pest control, like open conditions are more assessed or more attributed to vermin control, land management, pest control, and high capacity. See, you got me doing it now. Unrestricted capacity shotguns are, they're not usually for vermin. Yes, they can be very handy on the pigeons, but you're normally looking at a 2+1 or an over and under side by side, and it's actually illegal to use an unrestricted capacity or anything that can take more than, I think it is 2 or 3 cartridges to shoot game with. So that's probably why they're restricting it down to that sport. Lennon O'Grady, thank you very much, appreciate that, appreciate your support. Hey, looking into black powder revolver in the UK. How can I get started as a new shooter? Going to a club this weekend for the first time. Love the channel. Great to hear, and great to hear that you love the channel, but even more so that you're getting into this sport and getting involved and having your first time. So in terms of black powder is actually one of the easier things to own in the UK. You'll probably be pleased to hear. I'm not so hot on it. That's not my area of expertise when it comes to shooting within England or within the UK. There are going to be a lot more knowledgeable people on that subject than myself. HBSA, I think it is, historic breech loading. No, breech. Is it muzzle? I can never remember their name. Go and watch the Section 7.3 video that I put out a while ago about owning handguns in the UK. In there, I talk about a certain club, a certain organisation. They're the sort of people that you want to go and talk to about this. There is also like a black powder association, I believe, or muzzle loading association, but it's fairly straightforward. All you're going to really need to do is become a full member of a Home Office approved club. If you're attending, it sounds like you're already down that path. Get your probational membership out of the way, become a full member, and then you'll be able to apply for your FAC. If the club, and it is important that the club does black powder as well, or at least facilitate you shooting black powder, because if they're not a black powder pistol or revolver club, then the justification as being a full member of that club is not going to be as strong. Being a member of the NRA, if they are an NRA affiliated club, again, will help you out massively. You'll be able to pretty much as soon as you're a full member of the NRA, and the way it works is if your club is an affiliate member and you become a full member of that club, you are sort of automatically able to become a full member of the NRA, and that pretty much justifies being able to own anything you like, because they pretty much shoot everything that you can own down at Bisley. So a couple of ways there, but I'm assuming going down that route, you're going to be joining a club that does black powder. There are certain requirements and restrictions, and they're always changing about the storage of black powder or sort of nitro. So again, that's something that I've researched in sort of thinking of making a video. I find so many conflicting things. Again, it's not sort of an area that I specialize in. I really do need to meet up with somebody that really does know their stuff and sort of try and extract as much from them as possible to relay back to you. But they're really easy to get. You just need your FAC, then you'll be able to go and buy one, and you can shoot them at pretty much most clubs. The first time I went down to the first club I ever joined, my first Home Office approved club, which was my university club, we got to shoot an old muzzle loading revolver, or cylinder loading, whatever you want to call it. Great fun. It's like a firework in the hand. Be interesting to know if you're thinking more of the historical sort of black powder guns, or if you're looking at the, say, Allen Westlakes. Allen Westlakes are very much on my list. I absolutely love them. I love the premise and the experience of shooting them, the whole loading them up and priming them ready, and then the shooting. They're not the most accurate guns out there in the world, but they are still a hell of a lot of fun to shoot, and the closest thing really that you can shoot to a revolver here in the UK without having Section 5, because you don't have the long barrel and you don't have the rod. Word of advice, if you do go for an Allen Westlake, get a few spare slots for extra cylinders. The cylinders are actually controlled components, so to save on reloading, or you're still going to be reloading the same amount, but to be able to shoot more in one go, have multiple cylinders, load them up all at once, and then you can just go through and load them as you need. UK gun laws are crazy. They make little to no sense. Yes, there's a lot of people calling for a reform of the laws, and I'm certainly not against that, but it is a question of be careful what you wish for, because if they do a major overhaul of firearms law in the UK, don't expect it to be any better for the current shooters and firearms owners. They will most definitely make it worse. So, but I really do think it needs it, but it needs to be done in the right way, and it certainly doesn't need to be it can't be a dictatorship from the police, government, home office or neighbours. They need to work with the community, they need to work with the organisations to come up with stuff that's actually coherent and remove a lot of the grey areas. There really are many pitfalls within firearms law in the UK where you can, by pretty much no fault of your own, become a criminal just because of how things are interpreted, how things are poorly explained in a way within the guidance or within, and that's the other thing that causes confusion. Is we have guidance and we have law, and a lot of places will go for the guidance, but the guidance isn't actually law, so it just gets so convoluted and so complicated, so it can be a bit of a minefield dodging through it. Well, Gun Owners Association, I'm representing this evening. I'm sure you'll be pleased to see. Yes, it is a strange 8:30 because it is currently 20 past 8. I thought I would need a little bit more time this evening to get the stream going, but I didn't, and I didn't want to be sat there twiddling my thumbs for the extra like half an hour, 45 minutes that I actually in the end had I had spare. Cheeky saying you're going to start late, then start Exceeder. Why is that cheeky, right? Are you not pleased? Are you not entertained? Thanks for all the reply, Callum. I'm not going to rock any boats and join the UK PSA anyway. Good to hear. It is the sensible option. Some people just like to have a bit of a back and forth and maybe stand their ground, but yeah, it's 50 quid. Just do it. And you also now get insurance as well. There's various insurances in place with UK PSA membership. I believe it's either come into effect or it's coming into effect, where you have revocation insurance, which Basque quite famously dropped. So another good reason to join the UK PSA. I did see another question, and now I've lost it. No, maybe I was just imagining that. David K, I collect replica blank fire guns, and it's easy to obtain them and ammunition in the mail than an air weapon. Well, because they did. I thought, well, I don't know. So they can be sent out in the post. I wasn't too sure about that. Again, I'm not big into my replicas or blank firers. But yeah, so let's get into the main topic of this evening: kids with guns. Now, this is after the what consistency I have. Once again, I was going to have a video ready and I completely forgot. Oh, there we go, found it. So some of you may have seen a post that I put out on EnglishShooting. I'm in the Facebook page, which was a link to this article. Just checking. Got a number of tabs ready to go. More than 20 children in South Yorkshire are authorised to use guns. More than 20 children in South Yorkshire are authorised to use guns. Figures show. That's you already know. Like, this is a real scrape the barrel article. Oh shit, we need a subheading. Why don't we just add figures show to the main title and just roll with it? And guess what? Who are behind it? The Gun Control Network, void of all logic, reason, or any form of intelligence, said that allowing children to use powerful weapons such as shotguns is absurd. They warned that weapon security cannot be guaranteed with youngsters. Give me strength. And of course, because we can own pistols. Isn't that Smith & Wesson M&P? I think it is, maybe. Because like that picture is relevant to UK shooting sports, isn't it? So basically it looks like a local article. We've seen this sort of article in the past about underaged, or it's not underage, but under 18s holding certificates and owning guns effectively. This is the actual statement. The whole thing about authorising, again, just goes to show the complete ignorance on this subject and that they don't know what they're talking about. So the actual fact is that there are 23 children under the age of 18 in South Yorkshire that hold certificates granting them permission to use shotguns or firearms. That's not factually correct either. So it's just more shit on shit. What really got me to begin with is the authorized to use guns, right? There's no age limit on being able to be authorized to use guns, right? Or I don't, or is there, maybe there is, actually, come to think of it. Maybe I should have done my research before doing this. There might be an absolute lower limit, but we've seen many teenagers, like I have seen firsthand 12, 13-year-olds shooting guns legally. I don't believe there is actually a lower limit on it. So this whole authorized to use guns, there's a shitload more than just 20 children that are authorized to use guns, because within law, every under 18 can use guns across the whole country. So they could have actually clickbaited this a little bit more, because obviously having a firearm and shotgun certificate, they're able to actually possess it and also own them. Now, there are various sort of tranches of age gaps and age limits to owning guns in the UK, and again, well prepared as always. I haven't got it up, but I will just find it. Age limits. Hampshire Firearms usually have a very good table, actually really informative. So here we go, found it quite quickly. So this is the actual restrictions, right? So buy, hire any firearm or ammunition, including shotguns and air weapons. So you can't do that at all until you're 18. However, you can possess a Section 1 firearm and ammunition under the age of 15 with no exceptions, and we'll just scroll down to the exceptions. If carrying on behalf of a certificate holder, so you are accompanied by somebody who is over the age of 18, there's no restriction, and for the certificate holder's sporting purpose only, as part of approved club and cadet corps, and on a miniature rifle range. So I think that actually just confirms it. There is no lower limit. You can, like, any child of any age can go to a range or go with somebody that is a certificate holder that's over the age of 18 and shoot and shoot guns, and they are authorized to do so. But you can actually receive a Section 1 firearm and ammunition as a gift at the age of 14. So this gets really grey and really tricky, as it always does with UK law. The whole, like, gifting, so you can't go into a shop and buy one, but if somebody is a certificate holder, buys a gun and then gives you a gun, that's absolutely fine. And I know a number of firearms dealerships that do this and have liaised with their firearms licensing department to make sure that it's all above board. So this whole thing about, you know, being authorized, well, no, actually at the age of 14 they can own a gun, but I believe, I know they can own it and possess it without supervision, as far as this table confirms. Funnily enough, you need to be older to receive a shotgun as a gift, which is, I think, quite funny. But there are loads of very valid and sort of logical reasons of why somebody under the age of 18 would need access to their own gun, or to have a certificate to be able to borrow a gun or be gifted a gun in some way. And the main one is farming. A lot of younger kids, when they're on the land, you know, you get, what's the age of driving a tractor? I thought it was like, is it like 14, 15, 16, around there? It's actually lower than a moped as far as I'm aware. So, you know, the kids, if you're a farming family, you're getting involved with it. You're getting, you know, you're part, it's all hands to deck, isn't it? If you're running a farm, but also sporting. You know, look at Amber Hill, look how young she started. Look at the is it I want to say Macintosh. I don't think it is Macintosh. Maybe it is. The Olympic medal, I think gold medal winner as well, within target sports. And if you're going for the top, you're very apt at the moment with the Olympics. If you're going for the top level of sport, you can't start that at the age of 18. In shooting, yeah, you could. But if you really want to be the absolute best without question, you need to start young. Look at F1 drivers. They start when they're 5, 6, 7 years old. Look at tennis prodigies. They start again pre-teen, in the single digit ages. And shooting is a sport as much the same. The younger you start, the better you're going to be, the better advantage you're going to have going forward, going for the Olympics and things like that. So it's very difficult to put in the level of training and dedication if you're always having to have someone with you. So somebody under the age of 18 having their own certificate, being able to possess their own firearms, allows them more freedom in going to train and be coached and travel not only the country but the world to compete and train internationally. Very, very important. And that's why our GB Pistol Squad is absolutely stuffed. Whilst there are a number of Section 5 sporting certificates now for that purpose, and I actually met up with the Army pistol team that were going out to the Tokyo Olympics. They, there's some provision, but only for a select few, and it's incredibly hard to even get to that point because you're not allowed to actually use the guns. So it's a complete mess. So to trickle it down to try and ban under 18s from being able to possess or own or use their own guns is just going to hinder our sportsmen and women even further, or our sports children, sports boy, sports girls, even more than they already are when it comes to shooting sports. And the Olympics, I always look forward to the Olympics for the shooting, because it's the only time that there's like no negativity. It's the only time that the medals are outweigh any sort of negative persona of the guns, and that needs to continue. It's a great advert for our sport. It's a great pull into our sport, and this whole obsession with, we allow 17-year-olds to jump into a car and do 70 mile an hour down a motorway. We allow 16-year-olds to get on a moped and do 50 mile an hour, down your local high street. We allow responsibility at younger ages than 18 that could have far greater consequences. And simply, please show me or tell me of any case where somebody under the age of 18 that has a firearm certificate or a shotgun certificate has ever committed a crime or caused any issues. In a society where I think under 18s need more discipline, they need more responsibility and more respect and sort of focusing on something, shooting is fantastic for that, because there's no messing about. You can't mess about on a range. You have to respect the range, you have to respect the equipment, you have to have discipline, and it's also a huge responsibility. And I think actually you look at the under 18s within our sport, and that can be target shooting, that can be practical shooting, air guns, whatever. They are incredibly mature beyond their years. Every kid that I have met on a range has been, polite. They've been respectful, courteous. They've been just nice people. And I think we could do more with a lot more of that within our under 18s in this country. And to just because the gun control network doesn't like guns and thinks it's absurd, well, they don't actually understand it. And you can just read through this one article to quite easily see that. But not only is it this one article, and this is sort of, I guess, one of the bigger points, is it's a copy and paste. Once again, this is not the first time we've even seen copy and paste like this. So if you type into Google News children guns, this is what comes up. There has been a barrage of articles, and it's cut and paste. Just change the number, change the county, or change the town. They are all exactly the same. And once again, the images that they're using. Now, of course, I use this image, but we're talking about kids with guns, not about UK. It was a general statement of, and obviously two can play at that game of using clickbaity photos. But like, what fucking relevance does this have to UK firearms ownership or children, under 18 competitors within shooting sports in this country, right? It's just trying to be provocative. It's just trying to install anger and fear, as they always are. It makes absolutely no sense. Why does You know, why do we have a picture of two police officers, right? Just insinuating crime. Yes, it is the police that issue the certificate, but that makes it look like they're a bloody crime scene. Actually, fair play. Yeah, side-by-side shotgun, could be out in the field helping their farmer dad. Again, what the fuck? Like, if under 18s can legally get Glocks, and I think is that a Beretta? If they can legally get those guns, I want to know where, right? Because, like, sign me up. And again, like, you know, just grubby little bullets. Field Sports channel as well found this, and they go through all the articles. I think they found about 15 or 20 of the same articles. It was absolutely insane, and what it transpired and what Field Sports news then went on. Again, look, another bloody... Again, what bloody relevance does that have to our sport here in the UK? But what Field Sports News found out was that all of the newspapers that these have been put out in are owned by the same company, right? So obviously the gun control network has gone to them. They've put this in their... I'll get to this in a sec. They've put this press release on their lap. They've, you know, said what a ridiculous thing it is that these children are, you know, they have licenses or they have authority to shoot. But obviously the person who runs that company has just gone, yeah, all right, I'll run with that. And this is political. This isn't news, right? This is what I just... why people can't see through this. This isn't news. This is just propaganda. It's propaganda. It's there's obviously agenda here, and it's very much political. And you know, there's been whispers of further pushes, further bans, and things like that. You know, it's these sorts of things that sort of gear up to that. You know, set the scene, get everyone fearful, and then propose a new ban, and no one's going to object. Funnily enough, actually, while I was watching this with Field Sports News, now they are incredibly knowledgeable guys. I do think they make a slight mistake though when they say this, because they actually sort of say, well, why are they showing an air gun in Cumbria? Oh no, Cumbria is in England, isn't it? Yeah, I should know my geography. No, never mind. Didn't say that. Let's move back. They're brilliant guys. Who said that? What's the time? So yeah, the news articles. Is Cumbria the UK? I'm really bad at geography. I did geography at GCSE, but it was more about volcanoes and bloody earthquakes than actual geography. But anyway, moving on. Oh, it's been a long and busy day. Yeah, so the crux of it, like, fuck the gun control network and fuck the company that owns these papers. Leave us alone. The kids aren't causing any issues. What's the issue? As long as a kid can physically hold the firearm and can, you know, sort of physically control it, and is also, you know, has the right mentality, is, you know, of good nature, you know, is very respectful and understands the responsibility that they have, and can demonstrate that and demonstrate sort of safe gun handling. What's the issue? I've seen 30 or 40-year-olds on the range that practice less safe gun handling than some of the 12-year-olds I've seen. But yeah, we all know what it's about. We all know what they're doing, but just something that you guys should be aware of. You guys have been busy. Chatting about various stuff. Good Gorillaz song. Don't believe I used a Gorillaz song, I don't think. Maybe not. If folk haven't done it, complain to the Press Complaints Commission about the article and that image in particularly, and being completely misleading. They need to be held to account. Absolutely. You know, nothing will be done. I think it's still worth doing, but they're just going to brush it off. Interestingly, I have another way. This is also from Field Sports Britain that I was made aware of, and I've actually progressed this. I've started it. So some of you may remember some articles that were put out in the Times, also the Daily Mail, about the loss of my certificates and the channel, and they used a number of images, a number of clips from videos without permission, without even asking, and in some cases not even crediting. Now, there's been sort of a revelation within more of the trophy hunting and hunting world, which is, and this was actually news to me. I thought I understood fair usage and public domain quite well, but there is a difference in terms of media of being able to use it and copyright. So what a lot of trophy hunters that have fallen foul of the mainstream media and have had their images plastered all over the internet and on front pages of newspapers, they've gone, well, hang on a minute, that's my photo. I own the copyright to that photo. It may be out in the public domain, so therefore you can legally use it. But because you don't own the copyright, I can legally charge you for it. And it's a really interesting video on the Field Sports channel, YouTube channel. And there's a photographer that, she's a hunting photographer, and she says she makes quite a considerable portion of her income by going around and finding anti campaigns or anti organizations, newspapers that have written anti articles on hunting and trophy hunting that have stolen her photos and used her photos. So she just sends them a bill. And there's a number of companies that do this. I'll bring them up. So if you've ever had any of your images, and I think video, although I'm currently double checking that, because like in my mind video should be worth more, right? That just makes sense. So this was one of them, although I couldn't actually get their online system to work today. Copy Track, and the other one was like Pixie or Pixio or something like that. And basically you go to those guys and say, look, my stuff's been stolen, and they take a huge commission. I think it's like 45%, but they will go to the newspaper and go, you've used our client's copyrighted image, here's a bill. And then they sort out the negotiation, and you can take them to small claims court, or they will, to recoup the revenue, as it were. So the Times, I'm sure, will be getting an email very shortly, as will the Daily Mail, because I think on the Daily Mail, on one article, used 5 or 6 of my photos, and from what I heard in this video from Field Sports TV, they're getting paid anywhere between sort of £600 to £1,200 per photo. So that will be nice. I don't know how realistic it is, but it's worth a shot, right? It'll be a massive kick in the dick. Well, I won't say massive, like a few £1,000 to something as a company like the Times or Daily Mail is nothing, but it's a nice fuck you, isn't it? It's a nice like little finger up to them. And yeah, the Times, I mean, yeah, they stole screenshots from videos, photos, actual footage themselves, and used it. So again, they'd be getting my bill for that. I wish I'd have known it sooner, because that would have been great to just, when I actually had the interview with Sean O'Neill, to like just hand him the invoice and go, there you go, pass that to your photo editor. I take card, cash, or check. Sometimes sexual favours, but it depends how well you know me. So yeah, that's another way to combat them. Instead of, especially I would say smaller newspapers like this, if they're going around stealing images, and taking the copyright, taking copyrighted images, like charge them, right? They're going to soon stop doing it, aren't they? And to the point where this hunting photographer ended up getting their representative, their legal team, to write them a nice letter saying, thank you very much for paying my fees. That's been donated to the hunt that you wrote an article about and didn't like. So they've now got a few £1,000 extra to do with what they want. So yeah, I just thought that was an interesting thing. I'd never heard of that before. Fair use and public domain still stand in terms of actually using it, but it's copyright and everything is an absolute minefield. It can get really, really complicated. Your 11-year-old was on the 12 gauge the other day on the range. If they can handle it, like, have at it. The gift rule gets me. I can gift an illegal weapon to someone and they can legally own it. Crazy. I don't like why. I know you've like put illegal, like why is it illegal? It wouldn't be an illegal weapon, surely. Unless you're talking about if you don't have a certificate, if you're over the age of 18 and you're buying it on behalf of, or you're buying it for somebody else to then gift, I don't think you can actually do that. I think you do need to be a certificate holder in order to then gift it to somebody, because you can't buy a gun without a certificate. But the gun would be still legal. Like at no point would it become illegal, I don't think. 16 for a tractor, but you can be a learner at 15. So while supervised, I'm assuming, and a learner, you can be driving a tractor. And at 16, you can be driving a tractor they can tow, like, they're allowed to tow something silly like 20 or 30 tons. So yeah, what's more dangerous, a tractor towing a trailer of like 20 tons, or like a 12-year-old with a shotgun? You know, I know a load of people out there will probably go, well, obviously the shotgun. Statistics say otherwise. Can't see why under 18s having guns would be a problem. You need to be 16 to get a chainsaw qualification. So this is like this is, oh god, this is like the logic of the gun control network. You know, like how many people have accidents, like life-threatening or you know, sort of life-ending accidents with chainsaws, right? Like chainsaws scare the absolute shit out of me. Like even the people that know how to use them are covered in scars. And that just says, you know, it's like, yeah, I'm a chainsaw operator. It's like, oh yeah, I couldn't tell. So yeah, you can go and buy and own and get trained and qualified on a chainsaw at 16, but the gun control network are losing their shit that you can also buy a gun. You know, what should we do? Like, you know, license chainsaws next? Yes, that's actually Urban Space Monkey, in terms of the BBC actually being quite supportive about shooting in the Olympics. Not wrong there. BBC were literally praising Cowood Holly. Is it Cowood Hollies or Holly? Holy, maybe? Cowood. I'm just going to call him Cowood. That's keep it simple. Although I do get really annoyed, or get really annoyed if people just called me Callum Long, because it's Long Collins, like the CH. I'm going to call him CH. Transition to broken rugby, hopeful to Olympic bronze medal as some kind of epic tale. And I've actually got the article here. It was going to be one of the things we were talking about the Olympics earlier. So we have a Olympic medal this year in the Tokyo 2020 Olympics for shooting, and Mr. CH even has picked up the bronze in the men's trap shooting. So big congratulations to him, and this is just going to get seen by a load of people, and be a great advert for the sport, hopefully pulling more people in and inspiring people to take it up and get involved. This is, I think we do really need to try and maximise the positive information and news out there while the Olympics are going on. And yeah, just, you know, we need as much good public. Well, I think all publicity in some sense is good when it comes to shooting, because at least people find out about it. But certainly we've got to maximise on the positive. So yeah, there you can go on the BBC article, but absolutely no negativity at all. It's just absolutely fantastic to see. It's very supportive, very inspirational, which is exactly what we need. And we need to get as many medals as possible in shooting, because you know, I wouldn't say it's a dead cert. Nothing's a dead cert in sport, but Amber was going to pick up a medal, I'm pretty sure, and it was most likely going to be gold. So still a massive shame that she's not going to be there, sort of flying the flag, as it were. But yeah, huge congrats to him, and hopefully we will see a number of medals going forward. Dave Cadell, KFC have a female junior member, was 11 when shooting practical mini rifle. She's now 15. She's 15 now and looking to compete at 3-gun. And I'm pretty sure I know exactly who you're talking to. But yeah, Adam, what's up, Callum? How are you doing? I'm doing good. I'm a little hot, a little tired, but soldiering on through. But yeah, hope you're all good as well, and thank you for joining in. Just a quick reminder, hit the like button, subscribe, it all helps, it all makes me feel fuzzy inside. So chainsaw should have an overall length of under 3 inches. 3 inches? Do you mean 3 inches or 3 foot? 3 foot would be pretty tasty. Gez, completely agree with you. I hate the weapon word. We do not have weapons, only ex-military weapons. Completely agree, and I will correct people quite regularly on this. I think everyone is guilty of doing it. It's just the sort of vernacular that is used, offensive weapons bill and things like that. And if you look through the firearms guidance and firearms law, weapon is used so many times. If you have any interaction with the police, the word weapon is used, and it does sort of make me twitch. We don't own weapons, right? Just because something is a firearm doesn't automatically make it a weapon. Just like a knife is not necessarily a weapon. A baseball bat is not necessarily a weapon. A golf ball club is not necessarily a weapon. They all have legitimate, lawful, non-weapon uses, and it's a firearm. I refer to guns in the UK as guns, firearms, shotguns, or sporting equipment, or just equipment. A lot of the time, certainly when you're out and about, whilst I'm not exactly shy to talk to people about the sport that I do and what I get up to, there are certain situations where you don't want to be maybe saying to everyone that you're into shooting, or you maybe have a gun, so it then goes to equipment. But it's all it is. It's a tool. It's equipment. It's, to me, it is no different to a baseball bat. It's no different to a tennis racket. You can still bludgeon someone to death with that. You're a qualified chainsaw operator. No scars here, but correct chainsaw trousers and boots should be worn, as well as forestry helmet. The chain brake should work and chain should be sharp. So interesting to know whether you've ever had, the reason you don't have scars is because your safety equipment has worked. But I think you're quite lucky. Keep wearing the safety equipment. It's obviously doing something, right? Aaron T. Hello, Callum. I'm joining the army in the near future, and when I deploy overseas, I could be away for more than 6 months. How will this affect my FAC if I apply for one? It's not necessarily a good thing. It's certainly going to ask a few questions. You may have to increase security in a way, but it's not the be all or end all. So you really just want to talk to your FEO and get their feeling about it. If they're pretty sound and pretty logical and sort of level-headed, they're just going to say, look, keep it where it is. I've approved your, they would have approved your security arrangements, you're safe. It is going to worry them that for such a long time, they are probably going to want some sort of monitored alarm, so that if, whilst you're away, something is broken into, that you are made aware of it, or the police are made aware of it, more importantly. But if the other consideration is people within the house, that's going to have a big bearing. If you are sharing a house with somebody else, if your parents are living there, or you've got a partner that's living there that don't have a certificate, then whilst day to day it's not an issue, because if you come back one evening and your mum's taken an angle grinder to your safe and everything's missing, then well, you have a stern word with her. But having that long a period without being able to check that everything's still okay, and maybe other people inside the house that have access, that don't have access to the knowledge of the location of the safe and know where the safe is, and have access to the front door of the safe, not necessarily in the safe, is going to maybe make them a bit uneasy. But it really does depend on what security measures you have, and how good your FEO is. I would say a simple solution, there is a cost to it, is potentially just storing them with an RFD, or even seeing if you can have a locker at your local club and you can store them in the locker. Most RFDs will charge in the region of about, I think it's like £2 or £3 a week for a gun. So you're looking, probably, let's just say, like budget £20 per gun per month. So that does add up. You're looking for a period of 6 months, like 120 quid. So, but for that sort of period, you may be able to negotiate a discount, but it's something certainly to look into. Another option is to, if there is anybody living with you at the house, to see if they would get a certificate, and then sign everything onto their certificate as well. Then they can have access. Then they're not technically being left unsupervised for 6 months away from the certificate holder. You could even look at friends. So see if friends will do variations to be able to have slots on their certificate to be able to store your guns on your behalf. And you can have the same gun on 2 certificates simultaneously. That's not an issue at all. That's what a lot of couples do, like Ben and Emma Ducker. They actually use a lot of the same guns to compete, and with them being LBPs and Section 1 shotguns, they both need certificates each to be able to shoot that. There was a live stream ages ago where they actually came on. We talked about that actually in quite a bit of depth. But yeah, there's a few options, but it's not the be all or end all. It's not going to stop you from getting your FAC. It's probably just going to cost you maybe a little bit more in storage, or it's going to there's going to be some sort of hassle at some point because of it, but nothing that you can't overcome. Richard Weston, thank you very much. Appreciate the support, and thanks for joining as always. Evening all, TGI, it's nearly Friday. Blazer versus CCI Minimag for the 1522. Pros, cons, fire away. I definitely have shot Blazer, or is it Blazer or Blazer? Some people say it. There's a lot of people that do rate it. It's not the worst ammunition out there in the world. Personally, I just can't move away from CCI. I've used it for so long. It's so incredibly reliable, especially the Minimag. To me, it's worth the extra for the Minimag. The quality control of it. Yes, they can get quite waxy, and certainly when they get hot, that deposits all around the gun. That is something that you need to watch out for. They do their sort of Minimag clean now, or maybe it's their standard clean, or you just sit there one night and clean every round before you go to the range. It's a really minor thing for the Minimag, but it's consistent, and it's what I use. I sometimes use standard for the reviews. I found that to be as consistent and run as well in pretty much every single gun. For me, semi-autos, I just like that extra sort of high velocity to get it working, get it functioning correctly. But yeah, CCI standard or CCI Minimag, absolutely no issue, and it's my go-to test round because I need consistency. If I review a gun and it doesn't work, I don't want to be doubting the ammunition, and with CCI Minimag I have absolutely no doubts with it. Again, not saying that Blazer or Blazer is bad. A lot of people use it. I just really don't think there's anything better than CCI Minimag so far. I've had a number of thoughts about trying out Ely and going to Ely for a while. I do want to support Ely as a UK company. I know they are making pretty good ammo at the moment, but it's just switching away. It's like better the devil you know, and so far I don't see a huge advantage. Connors is saying that some of the Ely stuff shoots flatter at longer distances, but after doing the Basildon level 3, which all of you that were here for the new start time would have seen that video. If you want to go and quickly catch up on that, just go to the start of the stream and you can watch that video. But we were shooting 100 yards to 15 yards, and it was the drop was negligible. I would say at like the 15 yards, I did actually clip a no shoot because the drop was. That's the only time I noticed a point of impact shift, right? But we were shooting, from anything sort of 20-25 yards out to 100. The CCI Minimag in the mag loaded Cotswold Classic Arms battle arms, it was just so flat shooting. You could put that dot, and we were using the standard Trijicon MRO. I'm going to do a whole review of that setup, the gun, that optic, because I did the MRO HD, and I said to everyone, look, sort of really, I have really good hopes about this scope or this optic, but I like the MRO. I think the MRO is the one to go for. Well, that's now what's on the battle arms that both Connors and I are using for competition. I've forgotten where I was going with that. Oh yeah, it was shooting incredibly flat, like pretty much anything from like 25 yards to 100. You put the dot on the target and it shot where you put that dot, which removes a lot of stress and a lot of sort of mental burden when you're in a match, you know, thinking about, you know, changing where your aim is and all that. It just completely removes it, apart from closer targets. And not only did I do it once, I actually did it twice. And I think you can actually see in the clip, I take the shot, and like almost before it's even gone bang, I'm like, I just know what I've done. I haven't gone higher up on the target, and I clipped the no shoot again. But completely my fault, and something to learn on. I much prefer it when it's my fault rather than the gun's fault, because I can change. Like trying to get a gun to change sometimes is a lot harder. But yeah, fantastic gun overall. We're actually running a number of prototypes for the CMMG kit, a bolt weight. So it's talking actually on about high velocity and standard velocity. Otto at the moment actually recommends only using standard velocity with the CMMG conversion kits. Not an issue at all with the 1522, but for the CMMG, any CMMG conversion kitted gun, you probably want to be using standard. It's got this sort of welded plate at the back, and what ends up happening is the bolt with high velocity ends up smashing it and deforming it, and basically reduces the lifespan of the gun overall. So what Connors has done is he's designed a bolt weight which is going to slow down the bolt, and also some buffers which will absorb the kinetic energy a little better, and it won't be smashing into the back of that plate. So we tested that during the match, ran great. I mean, Connors came 7th overall, I came 10th. So like you can't do that with a broken gun. And there were a few other little bits that we were testing out, which I won't get into. Oh no, I can talk about the firing pin. We have a CMMG firing pin out there for test at the moment. We were running that all day as well. That ran fantastically. It's a very, very smart design. It's not just a replacement firing pin, right? It is an upgrade. I know you're probably thinking, how can you upgrade a firing pin? No, it's not titanium. No, it's not made out of some sort of special exotic material. It's just the design of it, and we will wait till the final batch is sort of tested and ready before I talk a little bit more about that. But that ran absolutely fine. And actually, Ben had a malfunction on one of the stages, which basically cost him that stage and potentially even cost him that match. I'm not going to get into where the firing pin came from. All I will say is there are certain firing pins out there on the UK market that are best avoided, because they sometimes have quite catastrophic effect, like failures, as I'm sure a few people watching this evening will be well aware of. So Ben's firing pin, it broke halfway through the stage, and it just turned the gun into a single shot. He wasn't actually able to finish that stage, and he didn't have a spare. And this is quite rare for Ben, because there's a video that we did ages ago. I'm actually going to find it because it's quite hilarious, really. He takes bloody everything, absolutely everything, to a match, apart from a spare firing pin for this one. So here we go. Here is his range bag. So we go. You can see it's already bulging, but let's fast forward it a bit. You just wouldn't believe the stuff that comes. He has like 3 sets of toolkits. I thought there was like more where it was all over the table. That's slightly less impressive. But yeah, he goes through the whole back, and he just has absolutely absolutely everything. If you're interested for any ideas for your range bag, like must-haves, I wouldn't necessarily have everything that Ben has in his, but go and search the ultimate range bag on the channel, and yeah, go and have a watch. But yeah, he didn't have a spare firing pin, and I said, look, we've got some of the prototype Maglo CMMG firing pins. Like, do you want one? Like, I know you're midway competition. I think somebody else had another firing pin, which again was one of the ones that's best avoided. And I warned Ben of this, and again, he's well aware of the ones that should be avoided, and was like, oh shit, I can either have one that I know is potentially going to cause me big issues, or I can have an unknown prototype. Ended up putting the firing pin in, this prototype firing pin, ran the rest of the match absolutely no problem at all, which was great for him, and also great for us, because it's like, that's not, whilst we were testing it in a competition, we're not yet really going for the top steps. Mini rifle certainly as a discipline is a little bit more of a breather for both Connors and I. Not to say we don't get competitive, but there's less of an expectation, certainly for Connors compared to going to shotgun. So we were like, look, if we turn up there and the gun's got issues, well, we're going to learn something, right? But we need to test it. We need to put it in a competition environment. It ran really well. The penultimate ninja. I want to know who the last ninja is. Was it the last samurai? I live in the US now, and I like to use Ely 22 wherever possible, because it's made in my hometown, and I have stuff that is Remington branded but was made by Ely. Oh, I didn't know that. Yes, I know, like, buy British, support British companies. I just like CCI too much. It's just one of the things. Potentially one stage I will switch, or at least try it out. But it's not a fair comparison. If I review a gun and suddenly switch to Ely and I start having issues, I won't be able to definitively say. I'm not saying that Ely has any issues or it would have issues, but I need that constant. David Kiddle, someone killed your 1522. It was Kyle. Is Kyle here? I haven't seen his name. Big Daddy Kyle. Killed your 1522 last event, but have not cleaned it past 82,000 rounds. Well, it's like my 1522 became like the club bike. That I sorted up. That must have had at least 30,000 rounds through it. That's why I always recommend the 1522. A 600-pound gun that can go on original firing pins, original extractors for 30,000 rounds without issue. Yeah, that's pretty good. Arius destroyed my Chris's bolt face at the night match before. Yes, we all know what happened with that. Gez, well done, Callum and the English shooting team. Promotion of practical shooting and shooting in general is great. Let me know if you are passing North Wales. We will meet up for a chat. Thank you very much. That's much appreciated. Glad to hear that at least some people out there like what we're doing. Don't forget to like and subscribe. North Wales, yeah. I keep on meaning to take a trip up to the Cardiff area to see Daniel. So I'm sure we'll be able to combine stuff. But likewise, if you're ever in the sort of Winchester, Portsmouth area, hit us up. More than welcome to drop by. We are in the process of moving. Things are. I know I've been sort of keeping this very quiet because, again, we still haven't signed on the dotted line yet. But it's we've had like final drafts going through the nitty gritty. It's sort of going ahead, and it's now to the point of being imminent that any day we're going to have the go ahead to start the move. So we will have somewhere, where we're currently based. Security is a little bit more of a concern. So the address isn't out there. You have to make an appointment. And what we want going forward is for people to be able to drop by, to come in and say hi, to have a look at the stuff, and obviously potentially buy something. So once we've moved in, the address will be public. That will be shared, and we will have like a regular opening hours that people will be able to come and drop by and hang out. You're going to need to give us a little while first to get set up. There's a lot to do. But yeah, people are always welcome. If you want to come down and sort of chat the shit, want any advice, you want to come and see any magload gear, or again, just come and hang out, drop us an email either on EnglishShooting@gmail.com. You can contact me directly through Magload at callum@magload.co.uk, or even info@magload.co.uk. Message on Facebook, either or. It all sort of comes through to us. And yeah, it's always good to see sort of supporters and people that watch the videos and support the channel. Your username is a joke based on one of my favourite Commodore 64 games of all time, The Last Ninja. So you're the penultimate ninja. 1522s are ace, and yes, Callum, we have a gun club. Awesome. Yeah, it'd be good to. Well, I'm sort of just inviting myself, but be good to drop by and throw some lead down range. Some other news well, not news, but something that I wanted to talk about. Obviously, the last week has been pretty. The last sort of week to 10 days has been pretty focused on Gun Trader, right? And the sort of massive data leak from them, where 112,000 users' details got put out online after a hack, and I was contacted by another company. This isn't an endorsement; it's another potential. A lot of people saying, well, who else can you go to other than Gun Trader? Gun Trader, I believe, are like the biggest sort of platform for buying and selling guns. A lot of people know about Gunstar. But I personally wasn't aware of sort of any other big platforms. I know you can buy and sell guns on Rack and Load Nation, but in terms of where there are the most guns for sale, it's guns. In my mind, it's Gun Trader or Gunstar. But then this website, Trigger Traders, got in contact, and they've actually got quite a lot on their site, and they specifically said that they did various security attack, like basically, what do they call it? Like tried force entry into their site, and tried various hacks on their own site. What they are reporting is that it stood up to all of them, whereas the others out there on the market didn't. And obviously, we know that obviously Gun Trader hasn't stood up well in various ways to hacks, but what they're saying is that they understand that they actually come from a they talk. There's actually an about page. So it's two. I think it's two brothers. And Andrew and Richard. So Richard studied software engineering in Edinburgh University, where what was his name again? Andrew studied computer science in Queens. So they sort of have the software and the computer element down, certainly when it comes to security. But yeah, it's a nice little website. They've got a lot on there. All I did was just see how much they've got on there. They've got over 2,000 guns for sale on there. They've got private ads. They've got trade ads. There's loads of well-known gun shops on there. But what is, I think, one of the biggest appealing aspects of this is the pricing. A single ad is only £1.25, and if you're looking at starting your own shop, or you want to bring your shop online, they have various quite inexpensive packages. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. Sounds like some great guys. It's another option. A load of people were asking about alternatives to Gun Trader, to Gunstar even. I wasn't actually aware of them. I will still use Gun Trader. I'm not going to give them any more of my details, but I'm still going to use them. They're still the biggest out there. So if I want to learn about, if I want to see guns for sale, or when I've got my certificates, I'm going to buy some guns, I want to go to the place that has the largest selection. But it's nice to see these others, and if you're concerned about using Gun Trader, maybe check out Trigger Traders as well. What are you guys talking about? Aaron T, I have heard that members of the armed forces don't have to do the NRA courses when joining them. Is this true? And my firearms will be stored in your unit's armory. If your firearms are going to be stored at your unit's armory, absolutely no issues with your FAC and going away for 6 months. No problem at all. But in terms of not having to do their courses, I don't know if that's true. And to be honest, there's a general consensus within the shooting community in the UK that squaddies probably need, well, not just squaddies, but people from the armed forces probably need a little bit more training, because they need to train out the bad habits when it comes to sport shooting. I don't mean that as a sort of slight against you. That's just what a lot of people say. That's just what a lot of people see. It is a different form of shooting. There are different rules and procedures and sort of safe handling procedures. because they're used in different environments. Should you get a mag fed or a tube fed for PSG? The question is, do you want it to work? If you want it to work, get a tube fed. If you want to be constantly frustrated that the gun is sensitive and has issues and jams and has all sorts of weird and wonderful malfunctions, then get box fed. Or get a box fed and go and fork out £6,000 for a KL12. They still have, like, I mean, they say like tube feds don't have issues, right? An M2 1301, they will still have issues, they will still have malfunctions, just nowhere near the level of your standard box fed shotgun. And what the KL12 does is it brings the level of reliability of a box fed closer or in line with your M2s, your 1301s. Yes, open does appeal. It's actually appealed to me for quite a long time, because it's the fastest way to complete a stage. Like, well, in theory, I'm actually in a way an advocate that you can be faster with a tube fed because they're more maneuverable. But in terms of capacity, in terms of loading, you can't load 10 rounds into a gun faster than dropping a magazine and putting another one in. So there are advantages to be gained, and generally open shooters will always set the fastest times and most generally win overall. I would just go for the tube fed. Like, it's just, like, open guns are just an absolute money pit. It's more so than any other practical gun, because they just take so much tweaking and fettling and maintaining and looking after, and replacement parts. Whereas, like, you get an M2, you can absolutely beat it into a ground. It will still keep running. Vepr 12, my beloveds. The Vepr 12s, the Veprs are one of the more sort of out of the box reliable guns. Certainly, still see a lot of issues with them in competitions unless they've had a lot of work done to them. But that is a solid sort of starting point for an open gun. Stoeger M3K, you thinks? Yes, I mean, in terms of the reliability scale, Stoeger is certainly below that of a Benelli or a 1301. But my number one go-to recommendation for a starter practical shotgun is always the M3K. It just cannot be beaten for the money. You know, is it as nice, well-rounded and reliable as an M2 or a 1301? Absolutely not. But it's also like a third of the price, and it comes ready to go pretty much. It could still do with a port job. You're still going to probably want to put a magload carbon fibre tube on the end of it, fit a shot saver, things like that. But you can take a Stoeger M3K and go straight into a match for like 500, 550 quid. That's very, very hard to argue with. The Stoeger that I use has seen better days, and it has become really unreliable now. The first sort of few years of using it, it was absolutely fantastic. One of the most reliable Stoegers that I'd ever seen. But that's the difference in the price. You know, it's like, what's the best way to sort of analogize this? You pay your money, you get what you pay for, right? And where the money is going in with an M2 or a 1301 is better material. It's better, finer tolerance machining. It's better quality control. Like the difference between a Seiko and a Tikka. A Tikka is just a Seiko is just a Tikka. It's just been more refined. It's had more time spent on it. It's had a little bit more bedding in and better quality control and made to finer tolerances. So, does an M2 outlast a Stoeger M3K 3 times? Like, probably. So the longer term better investment is probably just to go and buy once and cry once. But for starting out, go and spend your 550 quid on a Stoeger M3K. Just expect that, depending on how many rounds you put through it, like a few years down the line, you're probably going to be looking to replace it, or you're going to have to keep on top of the maintenance and replacement parts. But it is my go-to recommendation because I still don't think it can be beaten for the price. Caliber has 2 new match ready. I didn't know you were going to you were telling people, but Caliber Innovations has 2 new match ready shotguns out next week, section 2 and section 1. Callum will have test samples. Looking forward to that. I'm really hoping, David, that you can get me a sample for the Coats of Irons, which is it's like next week, so please. So we're going to be going up, I think, on the 6th of August. If you could get me one, or certain members of Caliber Innovations, if you could get one sorted out for next weekend, that would be perfect, please. Looking forward to trying it out. It's going to be a very, I won't say too much, but a very cost effective, again, race ready, out of the box gun. Are you guys a fan of the 243? Not particularly. 243 is more of sort of a vermin hunting round. I'm not big into my vermin shooting or hunting. I won't pretend that I am. Certainly more when it comes to rifles, more of a target shooter. But everyone knows, well, everyone probably knows, my main sort of disciplines are practical. 243 doesn't have a lot of use in practical shooting. Really, you're looking 223 or 308 in IPSC rifle, 22 LR for mini rifle, and 12 gauge for the shotguns, or 9mm for the handguns, or there's a whole host of different ammunition you can use for the handguns. Mr. Roberts, I'll sort out the port job, alright, although would like an M2, will juggle with what I'm not using rifles and get an M2. You really can't go wrong with the M3K, but the safe money is the M2 or a 1301. I did used to have a 1301, still, that was the original 1301 comp, before the Pro came out. Still highly recommend them. It really just comes down to you as a shooter, but also you as a gunsmith. The 1301s need maintenance. You need to clean them regularly, and you need to clean them in the right way. The M2 is a lot lower maintenance, which works for me really well because I don't maintain guns very well. And the other thing to consider is gas versus inertia. Inertia can catch people out. If you don't shoulder the gun properly, you will have issues when leaning around obstacles or barricades. And if you don't have it seated properly, you're gonna have some malfunctions, failures to feed or extract. The 1301 really comes into its own with the gas system for that. You can shoot it pretty much in any orientation, hold it in any way, and it's going to continue to run, just as long as you've cleaned it correctly, and also that you use the right ammunition. I found that with the 1301 comp I had, it was really fussy with its ammunition. The M2 just seems to be a little less fussy. Yes, you can. Thank you. Semi, please. Always like me a semi. If you can, I'll drop you a message after the stream, David, but we've already talked about it before. You know who to get it to, if that would be all right. And he'll be bringing it. I need to check that we're shooting on the same day, actually. Well, I'm fucked if I'm not, but you know who to get it to. But drop you a message afterwards just to confirm. But please do, because the Stoger M3000 needs a lot of work, or it needs replacing. So looking forward to trying a gun that will probably actually work and not munch my fingers. Next week back from Proof, a match pump and a gas semi. Awesome. You use 308 for target, but now thinking of getting a 300 blackout. Any thoughts? I don't see necessarily the need for 300 blackout in the UK. So in the US for ARs, for other purposes to what you can own guns in the UK for, I get it, and it's cool. I get it's one of those sort of cool rounds that like very few people have and most people want. But in terms of sporting use, I don't know what advantage there is having the 300 blackout. So in quite sad news, just change the subject into something a little bit more down. Does anybody remember the American Guns, the Gunsmoke gun shop on Discovery Channel? I know it was really over dramatized. A lot of it was scripted. A lot of it was quite fake. But it was a gun show on Discovery Channel, and obviously I watched it. And then obviously things went very bad. Very unfortunately, the son, Kurt Wyatt, passed away in February. And it's only, I believe, only been announced today. I saw this pop up on Facebook. It was announced by the father. I can't remember, what was his name actually. It's going to be his Rich Wyatt. Announced it on his Facebook page. I don't know the details behind it, but yeah, he passed away. I mean, I think I've watched every single episode of that show, and he was actually quite a talented engraver. Like, again, love or hate the style of the show. It was sad, and again, it was in some way an advocacy and promotion for the sport and shooting and firearms ownership in general. So yeah, he put out quite a heartfelt message. You probably, I'll just remind you, it was so American, like over the top, but like exactly like that. But they did some cool stuff. It was pretty fun, and again, a gun channel. So I'm sure some of you have or most of you have seen that. If you haven't, I think it's worth a watch. But yeah, unfortunately, the son in it passed away. Oh yeah, like mounting guns to cars. They did some crazy stuff. But yeah, so just thought, there's a bit of shooting news, as sad as it may be. But yeah, great chat up line. I've got a semi-automatic pistol. Don't know if that would necessarily go down well in practice, unless you're down the range and there's a lady down the range, and then you might be on something. Another bit of not as sad a news as that, but something I wanted to make you guys aware of. Combined with this whole kids with guns, kids authorised to shoot, or under 18s having certificates, in terms of pushes for future further regulations and restrictions, this I can definitely see leading to a sort of a push for further restrictions, a push for airgun licensing in the UK, and I'll get on to that. I'll get on to what my thoughts are on the whole licensing air guns in England in a sec. But Cats Protection are gearing up for something. They are asking people to let them know if they've ever had a cat that's been shot by an air gun, which obviously none of us condone, none of us like. It definitely needs to be stopped. But licensing air guns, is that actually going to stop it? So they're asking for details and all this. None of this. Well, I would assume that Cats Protection aren't actually going to go and verify any of that information. So you could just have a whole horde of antis going on there and just fictitiously making up stories, which I wouldn't put it past them. But they're talking about air guns. That doesn't look like sort of an airgun X-ray, if I'm going to be completely honest. It looks more like a shotgun, if not a BB gun. So again, they're doing it for effect. Some people have said that this is doctored. I don't necessarily think it's doctored, but it's definitely not done with an airgun. But in terms of licensing airguns in England, I'm pretty optimistic on it. I really think, based on what happened in Scotland, it just didn't. Did we cover this last week? I'm getting a bit of deja vu. I really don't think, based off of the lack of effect on crime with air guns in Scotland that the licensing scheme has had, and the countless sort of resources, time and money of the police and other organisations in putting that into place to not gain anything. I just don't think they're going to do it here in the UK, and I very much hope that they don't, because airgun shooting is a big gateway into the sport. So many people that I meet that now have firearm certificates or shotgun certificates, the first gun was an airgun. My first gun that I ever shot was an airgun, and I think so many people use it as a gateway, or it ends up being a gateway into the wider sport, for us to lose it, or to have it licensed and even harder to own an air gun or experience airgun shooting, is just going to be detrimental to the sport overall, which is probably why they want to go after it, why they want to have further restrictions and further regulations on them. David Kiddle sent you a picture. Can I show it? Can I show the new gun, David? Is that allowed? Let me know and I can bring it up and show it. What can we do to get air guns in Scotland off license? The best angle, I think, is to show how much it's costing, to no avail. I think that's the best thing. You know, certainly in, you know, we're in some of the biggest sort of countrywide debt we've ever been in. They should be looking to save money and cut back as much as possible. So demonstrating, actually finding out how much it is costing them running the licensing scheme, and what impact, if any, it has had on crime or misuse of air guns. And I think there will be a tipping point where, if it is costing a significant amount, with having no effect, then sooner or later they're going to have to sort of wise up and go, well, hang on a minute, we can't keep spending this money if it's not doing anything. David, when you say top middle, do you mean bottom middle? Is it of the action? Because otherwise it was just the extended chokes in the barrel. So this is a little tease of the new gun that is coming out from Caliber Innovations. Here we go. It does look, I like the colour scheme, I have to say. The sort of gold on black, you know, and it does look very sort of Stogery M2. Could probably do with a little bit more of a port, but that will all be taken care of by Caliber, I am sure. 550 quid. So you are looking Stoger M3K money, but this is, like, from what I've talked to David about, it's going to come more race ready even than an M3K. It's going to have a proper port job on it. Just a reminder, you can't handle pew-pews on live streams. Yep, no, I'm aware. That was a picture. That was absolutely a picture, honest. Total bollocks, that cat X-ray. Yep. The fact that air guns are most people's transition into the sport is why the anti-gunners want to license and eventually ban them. Absolutely cannot agree more. JPS racing livery, absolutely. I do like, there is something to be said about black and gold. I wonder what other really good practical shooting product is there that's black and gold. It will come to me. Just give me a sec. It's coming. That's right, the Nexus Pro. I mean, I have to say, maybe you should do, David, like a Nexus Pro package with your gun. You have like a matching loader to your gun. And I have to say, the pictures are always very hard to relay sort of tone and color. In real life, the bars are a gold. They're actually quite not a bright gold, but they are actually like a shiny gold. And the back plates are a lot blacker. They look grey in that picture there. They are black. I don't know if it's any better on these. No, it's probably worth seeing them on the Facebook. Can I get to the Facebook page from here? There we go. Let's have a look. There's all going to be stuff that I can't show on there because I'm on there as admin, so I'll abort that. But yes, black and gold loader, black and gold gun. That should be pretty good. Scotland is running like New Zealand. Totally unjust and not needed. Dickheads will always be dickheads. Absolutely, that's what I always say. You know, the people that they were trying to confiscate the guns from and license the guns away from they weren't going to hold them in, hand them in. They weren't going to get a license, were they? They're still going to be in a wardrobe somewhere or a cupboard, and they're still going to be going out there and shooting cats. Match pump 475. I mean, that is like dirt cheap. Pictures sent you can show. Oh, more pictures. I like it when people send me pictures, especially ones I can show. David sends, that's going to sound wrong, but David sends me a lot of pictures that I can't show on stream usually. Not like that. You could have sent it landscape. So this is the pump. So this is going to be the new pump from, and I know there are going to be a lot of changes, but this is a sort of an early sneak peek. Very sort of Magpul like stock and grip on it. Again, you've got that black and gold theme. Just, you know, looks like a sort of practical, tactical shotgun, which I definitely like the look of. Right, guys, so that is going to be all for this evening, where we had the later start time. Obviously it's going to be a later finish, but yeah, before you all go, make sure that you like and subscribe. We do this every single week. I do try to keep it as consistent as possible at 7:30, but yeah, shit happens. I need to and sometimes I need to, you know, put life things first. Let me know. Actually, I might actually end the stream if anybody that wasn't here at the beginning. I previewed the Basildon level 3 mini rifle match. That it will be going out as a full video, but if anybody missed it, I'll actually play that out after I've ended the stream. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in, for getting involved. Just a quick one, no news on the FAC yet. As soon as there is, I will let you know. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed it, and stay tuned. I'm gonna go, but stay tuned. There is a nice video for you all to watch, and then you can catch it up when it's released as a full video, guys. But let me get that one ready. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for getting involved. Be doing it same time, hopefully, fingers crossed, same place, 7:30 UK time next Thursday. But have a great weekend, a great week. Hope you all get get some shooting in. Hope you have a good one. I just muted myself a little too early. But yeah, as always, guys, I hope to see you soon.